Buses football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and it's Talking Town Extra Time. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. We've got two wonderfully articulate and opinionated contributors. Looking forward to getting them on the show and hearing what they think following, obviously, Saturday's 2-0 defeat to Sunderland and tomorrow's big game against Rotherham. We are on a Monday night. We are past that 24-hour period where it's too high and too low. How are we feeling as a fan base following Saturday's disappointing 2-0? Still the same as you were maybe yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon when we did our Talking Town show at 1:30 on a Sunday. Really good feedback on that show. Thank you so much for the kind feedback. It really means a lot when you get the feedback. Any feedback is welcome, but particularly good feedback like that. It really does put a pep in your step and you know, take you forward to the next show. Before we go any further, I want to say a quick, not a quick thank you, but a huge thank you to all the new guys and girls on our monthly supporter boards, which you can get onto. If you want to get your name on these supporter boards, then you can support us through Ko-Fi. That allows us to build the platform. I was talking to somebody today about guests and possible payment of money and things like that, and that's only possible through your support and through moving the platform on. So thank you all so much to who we call our TT Fifth Stand members. There are anonymous people there, 6 anonymous people. So if you're not on the board, I've had 2 come forward already and say, look, Martin, that I think that's one of me. I want my name on there. I will get that changed. So that's 4 more to find. If you do want your name on there, let me know, because Ko-Fi, for whatever reason, has said, we've got to have it anonymous. I don't know. I don't set the rules. I just have to follow them. Anyway, on to tonight's show. The Prediction League is now open. Week 16, 4 fixtures. There was loads of movement this week. The 4 games is Town Crew, Colchester Newport, Cambridge Sunderland, and Norwich versus Wolves. The Prediction League table looks like this. Ben Moore has been the biggest mover, up to 3rd. And the other shock we've got of the tie, Matt Phillips, ladies and gentlemen, has got points. Matt Phillips has got points. Absolutely mad. Right, let's look at the live chat. As you all know by now, there's a live link to have your say. If you do want to say anything about what we're talking about, anything about what we're not talking about, maybe there's something you feel this show should be talking about to do with Ipswich Town Football Club and we're not, ask for the link. Just say link and it will come into the chat. Good evening, Colin Plum. How are you? He's been drumming up a bit of business for Rich and the Eats charity again today. Good work, Colin. Welcome in, Ant. Welcome in, Graham. I hope you're doing okay. Could be better, mate, with 3 points tomorrow. Ben Moore, hi all. Hope all is well. 3 points tomorrow would make this week more enjoyable. Welcome in, Lee. I hope you're okay on the floor. Safety guy, Swenny. Evening, guys. Cold today. It's been fucking freezing today. Excuse my language. Not quite 9 o'clock. Naughty, Gov. Yeah, absolutely freezing today. I had the heating on. I know. I usually try and wait till December, possibly January if I can get away with it. But nope, heating was on today. Simon Harris, evening all. The ladies' result cheered me up. Yeah, great result from the ladies. They always pull it out of the bag. I heard it was Saints' first ever league defeat in 4 years since founded. Wow. Right. Let's get contributor 1 into the room. He is always happy. It is Mr. Mike Brown. Mike, welcome in. How you doing?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
I was searching for your intro, but I couldn't find it. My apologies, sir. My apologies.
Right.
I'm okay.
Not about me, is it?
Well, no, it's never about. We should get you a T-shirt like Mario Balotelli and just lift it. Why always me? Because that's the way it goes. Yeah, I heard you, or hear rather, you've had a rather turbulent weekend on social media.
Nothing I can't handle.
Absolutely not. No.
Twitter well, Twitter as I call it now. I've come off that. I don't appreciate getting threatened at a game. And if that person's watching, feel free to come along to the game and see me at the game if you want to carry out your threat. I'm quite happy to.
On earth?
Yeah. But I mean, look, I don't know who the tweet or twatter was, as I call him. It's what it is. So I thought, you know what? I come off it, and I'm going to stay off it, and because to be quite honest, it's just for the twat.
Yeah, it can get like that, and obviously, no one should be threatening anybody. But you're going to be with us tomorrow night at the game. I wouldn't worry. I've been there myself. But let's take your mind back. Let's go to a happy place now, Mike. Okay, let's take your mind back to the year is 2001. It's Thursday, the 22nd of November, and it's about not far from this actual time that Alan Wonderful Armstrong leaps like a salmon and heads the ball past an outstretched, gasping Francesco Toldo. Were you at that game, Mike Brown? Ipswich Town versus Inter Milan.
No, I wasn't at that game. I was bringing up a child at the time and going through a bit of a breakup. So,
that's
not I was with a lady. We had a child, my oldest boy Josh. But yeah, we look.
Fuck.
Is what it is.
I thought I was taking you to a happy place.
Sorry. I can. No, put yourself together, Mike.
What do you remember of the game though? Do you remember it? What was the euphoria like? Because a lot of young people watch this, and I'd like to know what memories they've got in the chat as well. It was a great win for the football club. One of the greatest nights and of recent memory, certainly.
Well, like you say, there's been many though, hasn't there? There's been really good memories back then. For me, I still think the Bolton games were probably better than some of the Premier League games. The Man United opening game of the season, if it hadn't have been for a fluky Beckham free kick curling round and going straight in the back of the net, we'd have beaten them on opening day. But
yeah, opening league home game wasn't the opening day of the season. We had Tottenham that year, didn't we? That was the opening league. That was the opening league game. Man United was on the Tuesday night, wasn't it? Our first home. That was
a first home game, wasn't it? First home Premier League game, wasn't it? There's a picture of it here. But when you start going into the European games, unfortunately, I never went to many of them. My life has just led me down some different paths to football. Sometimes it doesn't stop you being a supporter, though, does it? Luckily, the BBC was pretty kind to us and sort of threw the games on there, and we still keep our unbeaten record in Europe.
We certainly do. Good times. I asked my nan today. I said, "Nan, did I go to that game?" Because I can't actually remember it, but she said that I did go to it. So, I was only young at the time. I'm only a wee baby, as it were. But still, Inter at home. What a night, Lee Anderson. I was in the North Stand, right behind the goal in line with the header. Sarah says, "Martin, stop talking." Yeah, absolutely. Foot in mouth time twice there with the Fisherman. Kevin, Holland, Stephen, love you, smoke. Then I'm not sure what that's all about. Kind of big game for the boys tomorrow. Andy, I'm still haunted by the poo in one of the ones at the San Siro. Good grief! All right, let's try and take it up a notch, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Because we've got off on the wrong foot in the first 8 minutes. It's a ropey start from Talking Town on a Monday night. Let's see if we can't raise it a little bit by bringing in somebody who always ups the tone. Save us, Tux, please. Save us. Save us, for fuck's sake.
I'm here to save today. I'm here to save today, unlike our football team at the weekend.
Yeah, unlike our football. Yeah, I felt for you Saturday evening because when I sat down and had my beer, I thought, what a shit afternoon. I thought, oh, Christ, poor Tux. He's not only travelled all that way, he's then being surrounded by the Sunderland faithful. Talk us through your stories, Tux.
Yeah, so I travelled up on the Friday night, drove up, should I say, 4-hour journey. And then, Saturday, started drinking at about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, I think it was. Went into a little local Wetherspoons. Had a nice breakfast, had some beers, and then bumped into Cruncher and Mark Dowling in one of the pubs. So that was always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just had a pretty good day, really. I mean, aside from the result, it was a very good weekend. Came back yesterday, so nice to see family and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, performance-wise, really not great at all.
No.
Very disappointed, and I obviously had to sit with Sunderland fans. And to be fair to them, they're very good about it. But as Sunderland fans are, they are just generally very nice people. They said that we deserved the win. We were the better team on the day. And they're right to a certain extent, but I think there was certainly kind of moments where we didn't perform at all.
Yeah, were you in the bar with the entertainment?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video of that. It's so nice to see rival fans in a pub drinking, having a great time. That's so rare.
That's what it's all about for me. I think, when you go to an away game, for me personally, I quite enjoy interaction with away supporters, the home supporters up there, because you get to find out a little bit more about that, specific team. But also you just generally talk about football, and I'm a sort of person that just likes talking about football anyway. It doesn't matter where your team's from or what league your team's in. It is nice. But also, when you've got like the derby day of Norwich and stuff like that, when it's your local rivals, there's that kind of fierce loyalty there. But it shouldn't have to boil over into, the new series of Football Factory or something like that. So,
Yeah, sadly been there. Inter Milan, all those years ago. Obviously, you're the same sort of era as me, Tux. But what do you remember, or what do you think of the night now as we sit here in 2021?
When I think about it, because I only really started supporting Ipswich in the early 2000s, so it would have been when we got promoted, to be honest. So that was probably my sort of second year really following Town. And if I'm honest, I remember the game actually being a VHS sort of thing, because I didn't watch it live. I watched it actually a few years later when it came out on video, when the club were doing like kind of the videos of yesteryear and all that sort of stuff. So I watched it on that. But yeah, I mean, I think it was called the Road to Europe. I think it was. So it had all the European games on there.
Yeah, could well have been.
It's obviously special memories, but I mean, you sit there and you think about it, like, a lot of us, especially those that were in the ground that night, absolutely shitting it playing Inter Milan, and then you think about it tomorrow, we're worrying about Rotherham. So that's just how far we've come, really. So
it really is. It really is. Talking of Sunderland, 25,500 tickets have been sold. I think I saw somewhere, and they've stopped selling them. Obviously, great shout out to Rich and everybody else who's donated through the Pack Out PR campaign. But Tux, the return fixture will have a full capacity crowd. It's looking like. How big will that be for the lads?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the ground to full capacity.
Likewise.
I think what is it? Our capacity is like something like 29, 30,000 or something like that.
30,000, I believe. It's like 83 or something silly.
So it would be nice to see. I'm hoping that we can actually really have it full. The only times I've really ever seen it kind of full is when we were sort of, back in the Premier League, or, maybe a Norwich derby. But even then, they're not 30,000, are they? I don't know whether it's for safety reasons or not, but it would just be quite nice to see the stadium as packed as it possibly can be. And obviously against a fairly decent team as well, in terms of stature. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Another juggernaut in this division, Mike. Mike, how obviously the whole aim of this Pack Out PR campaign is not only to pack out the stadium, but it's to convert fans that maybe have drifted away to come back and re-energize them the same way we have been as season ticket holders, and get them back in the fold. So how important is it in front of Sunderland's on the return fixture that we perform, and that's something that we've not often done in front of big crowds. So how important is it that we do perform?
I think, look, let's just take away the football a second. There's going to be fans going to this game. They're either not been able to afford to go because of financial reasons, or for their, their low income families, or they might be in a situation where they've got a carer like I my brother. I take my brother, and I know there's a few fans who've got the same concession ticket. Now these fans are going to be able to go because of this money being raised. I'm not flush with cash. I'm certainly not flush with cash, and I have to earn and manage every bit of my money. But for me, it was a no-brainer to donate 40 quid so one fan could go to 3 games.
Games, yeah.
So and I think the amount of money raised in such a short period of time was huge. And we could talk about the Sunderland game and how important it is for the boys to perform in front of the fans, but there's a lot more games to go before we get to there. And I think, obviously on the day when the full packed stadium, yes, I think there's a good chance that the team will get behind the fans will get behind the team, and the team will probably raise their game. But they need to raise their game long before that game. So
30,311 is what's coming up in the chat for the full capacity Tux, but I've never quite seen it then. And I think I always used to think there was safety reasons why it wasn't quite that number, but we'll wait and see what the full figure is. Do you agree with Stephen Parry here then, Tux? It should be mainly a community day. The result, although important, is to me secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we've in terms of community days, I think we've sort of seen Ipswich versus Newcastle over the years, like Bobby Robson Day and things like that. And they always bring good crowds. So yeah, I mean, what Crunch has been doing is just amazing, really. But the whole community itself, the Talking Town, just Ipswich fans in general, just getting involved and making people's Christmases at the end of the day. Because as I think someone said a few weeks ago, that you remember Portland Road as a kid at Christmas because you go with your family, you go with your mummy, dad, guardian, whoever it might be, and you watch football maybe for the first time for these kids as well, and it always holds special memories. And for me personally, I love going to Portland Road or an away day, whatever the fixture falls on a Boxing Day, because in my house, Boxing Day is football day. So to have those special memories attached to it is massive.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I'm just trying to see where I've seen it. I think it was on TWTD. I think I saw that it was 25,500. I'll drop the link for the article in the chat. Under 23s played today. Drew 4-4. Luke Wolfenden was in the lineup, Mike. This is a player that's lost his way, isn't it? How do we get Wolfenden back to the player that Premier League teams were interested in only 18 months ago, pre-pandemic? Because it was real, wasn't it? It was a good player emerging.
But it's like anything, if you take, look, my son Jake, when he started playing football and then started getting better and better, there was 2 seasons where he was top scorer in a really top league that he was playing in, but it doesn't mean to say, he could, in my opinion, my son peaked too early, and I just think that maybe Wolfie's peaked, and I don't see him as a championship player. I genuinely don't. I struggle to see him as League One at the moment. Maybe he needs to do what Downs and Dazelle have done. Just leave the club and go on to new pastures, redefine himself, get himself back into a routine of playing first team. For me, it's I know he's academy, but our academy's not been great for a long while, and we all know why that is. And for me, I think it's time for him to move on and sort of hopefully find some other, do a Jack Lancaster and sort of, go to another team and, and try and revamp your career there. And I think that's what Wolfie needs to do. I don't think he's I might be wrong, and like I said, I might be wrong about Hill, might be wrong about Downs. They may end up in the Premier League, but personally, I don't think they will, and I don't think Wolfie will be anywhere near it. He's just too inconsistent with his football. I've lost sound.
Yeah, I've lost sound as well. We can't hear you.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute. That's why no one can bloody hear me. I'm on mute. There we go. I'm bringing my daughter, and I hope she enjoys the atmosphere and the match, so she will want to go again and again. Ben Moore, you give him a run of games like Toto, or you play a back three where he can benefit from having having leaders like Edmondson and Burgess. Right. Saturday, Sunderland defeat 2-0. Edmondson's a Rolls Royce, but we'll come to him in a second. Let's start with the goalkeeper. Tux, Christian Walton, hadn't done much wrong recently, but my days, what a mistake on Saturday. How did you see his performance?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's still by far and away our number one for me. I think, I don't really think he's been tested an awful lot since he's actually been at the club, other than his opening game, which obviously is conceded 5. But when you think about it, has he really been tested that much? I don't think he has. That might be a bit of credit to the back four in front of him, but really he hasn't been tested. But at the same time, that's no excuse for his performance at the weekend. But yeah, it wasn't great at all. But would I play in the next game? Does he keep his place? Yes. Keepers come under scrutiny in that type of position. There's only one player. There's only three goalkeepers fight for that position, and Holy's nowhere near it. Laggy's made more mistakes than anyone. So, yeah.
It is a case, isn't it, Mike, of it's his shirt because there's not really anybody pushing him.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to see where the blame is being solely put on Walton.
Well,
Look, it came, yeah, but the ball, no disrespect, but there was, the commentators, I watched it on iFollow with the Sunderland commentating, and the ball was in the air for a long time. Yes, should he have come out? Probably not, but where was he defending? That's basic 101 defending. Clear the ball, get it out for another corner, reset, defend again. Where was he defending? 3 of them. Edmondson, Clements, and I'm still struggling to find out who the other one is. But I'm telling you now, them 3 failed to clear that ball. That head was a 50. No, absolutely not. That 50p head, that could have gone anywhere.
I disagree. The only thing I can criticise those 3 defenders on is not getting out of the way of your goalkeeper. When you hear your goalkeeper say, in this case, we'll say Walton's, you are supposed to get out of the way ASAP or be coming through. They sort of freeze Tux. They sort of you have to think that Walton shouted, because if he hasn't, that's also blame on him for not shouting and making them aware that he's coming, Tux. But let's say he has shouted, they almost freeze underneath that ball like Bambi caught in headlights, don't they?
Yeah, and the performance itself from the back four wasn't particularly great in my opinion. I think everyone knows my kind of overall opinion on Enciala. I'm hearing Callie now shouting at me, but it's one of these things where I'm sorry, but he is not first choice centre half going forward for the rest of this campaign.
Well, let's come to Toto, because we spoke about
what did he do? What did he do wrong? What's he done wrong?
This is it.
We're talking about Enciala. What has he done wrong?
This season or overall on his?
No, this season. What's he done this season wrong? Come on.
Quite a few things. There's been a lot of times when he's given the ball away, and yes, players always give the ball away and stuff like that. But you then sit there and think, okay, well, he's putting blocks in, he's making challenges, but most of these blocks and challenges or whatever else have actually come from his mistakes, him giving the ball away. So when you think about it, there isn't actually a real partner for Edmondson at the moment. So we've been splitting with Burgess, Wolfenden, and Enciala. The only mainstay out of that has been Edmondson. He's come in, he's been the mainstay. So what we actually need is a centre half that's going to just, whether it's a ball playing centre half or just someone that just kicks the high hell out of it. We need a centre half that's going to do that and not be a calamity. And for me, Enciala, since he's been at this club, has been a calamity.
It's hard
I respect.
Go
I
on,
respect
go on.
I respect that's your opinion, but I haven't seen none of that. I look at there's been the odd mistake. I get that, but we talk about giving the ball away. We got a midfielder in Evans that's give a ball away loads of times. We had no last season who gave the ball away loads of times, and we don't see people targeting them right now, do we? We had Morsey at the weekend giving the ball away. We had Evans, Edwards. You know,
we're going to get to these players. As we go through the 1 to 11 from Saturday, and do they deserve to keep their place?
Okay.
I'm with Tux in the sense of on Saturday particularly, I was listening to the game, and obviously I've watched it back since, and I wrote down sort of a few words about Toto on Saturday. And it was concentration at the vital moments. And I'm not going to count the penalty against him because I don't think it was a penalty in the first place, but it was also in the dying embers of the game, and 1-0, 2-0, absolutely irrelevant. I do not care. But he was starting, and you could sense, you could hear it, and then watching it back, you could also sense it. He was starting to make mistakes and starting to sort of become the Toto that we know from 18 months ago, Mike, where he's got a catastrophic mistake in him. And sadly, the position he plays is a bit like a goalkeeper. When a mistake happens, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be a catastrophic mistake because you're so close to your own goal. Has he done much wrong this year, is what you say to me, Mike? Probably not. No. Is he the long-term answer? I reckon Tux would probably say no.
If you want my honest opinion, Mike, he's actually improved this year. He has actually improved this year. In my total honest opinion, he's improved this year. However, he's still not good enough.
Okay.
I see. There's a difference. There's a difference. Is he our long-term plan? No. I agree with that. I totally agree, and I totally understand that. Right, but when we talk about big mistakes, you had Edmondson and Clements. I know Clements is like obviously just come in, but Edmondson was there to clear that ball with his head, regardless whether the keeper's coming or not. Didn't move out of the way. If that had been Enciala doing that, everybody would have slated him.
Yeah, quite possibly. But Edmondson shows more consistency for me, and he's also a better centre half for me than what Enciala's ever going to be.
You're also talking about if we do a Ben Adams here right now and use an analogy, you're also talking about let's like a relationship. The new missus might do the same things as the old missus, but she's the new missus, so it hasn't grated on you as much. Whereas where Tux is coming from, he sat through Toto for the last 18, but he is the current number.
So have
two.
we all though.
Because no one's pushing him. I don't think Burgess has done well enough to push him. I don't think Wolfenden going back to under 23s is doing anything to push them. So a bit like the goalkeeper situation, you've got Edmondson and Toto, and then nothing. Right back, Donasian, Mike. You're obviously a big supporter of the Don.
Solid.
New deal.
Another solid game this weekend. Look, regardless of what, defensively, he's up there. Really is a brilliant right back. Forward, probably not so much. Okay, but defensively, brilliant.
Although he has improved that side of his game because he's got a number of assists this year.
Yeah, he's got 4, I think, now, which is one more than Dazelle got in 2 years.
Do you know what? I will say one thing, Mike. In defence of Paul Cook,
sorry, Lee.
We are seeing players improve, which is not something I can say I've seen at Portman Road for a long time. You're seeing Donasian improve his forward play. You're seeing Toto improve his consistency. Now, is that down to the coaching team and manager? You've got to say yes. So I will say credit to Paul Cook there. Surely as someone who perhaps doesn't like Paul Cook, Mike, you've got to say, I'm not wrong there. Donasian and Toto are both improved under his leadership.
Look, it's your opinion, but the fact remains it's the run of games they're getting. The consistency, to get a good play, they need to play games. I mean, look, he's got Joe Pigott, 25 goals plus last year, can't even get a game. I mean, Cook's ruined him. He must be confident shot.
But I'm asking you about the dinner, and you're talking about the dessert. I'm asking you about, are these players improving? And the answer is quite simply a yes, Mike. It's got to be. Because you're talking about the national.
But because of game time. That's game time. Okay. Look, under Lambert, right, he didn't even make the first team and ended up on loan at Fleetwood and was
Luke
for the first 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. There you point. All right. Going to the left side then, Tux. Clements, Bailey Clements. You were the first person I know last week to stick their head above the parapet and say, yeah, I don't know if he played that well, So how did you see his game on Saturday?
Shit. Absolute shit.
Where's that sign?
No, I'm sorry. Absolute shite. I mean,
Well,
I don't
great.
know. I just don't know how this is. Okay, so Coulson is our main left back, right? He's injured. I don't know how long he's going to be injured for. You then bring Penny in. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know whether he's injured or just lost confidence. Cook doesn't trust him. Whatever.
We believe he's fit on the bench for the Papa John's trophy. So we just believe. We just led to believe he's not playing.
But someone tell me, right? How is Clements any better than Miles Kenlock?
Well, he's registered, whereas Miles Kenlock's too old, so he's not registered.
But the argument still stands. Why is Clements better than Kenlock? He isn't, and Kenlock couldn't even get in that side anyway.
No.
So why is he better than Kenlock? Because I'm not Kenlock's biggest fan at all. Even when he came on sitting under McCarthy, I wasn't a fan of him at all. I thought Josh Emmanuel was shit as well, and he's gone on to play for Hull. But different story. But Kenlock has been very poor. It wasn't until probably back end of last year we actually thought, all right, he's a bit of a player. But again, consistency. Bailey Clements, I don't see anything there at all. I said to my mate, he was sitting next to me at the weekend.
Friend.
A lot of their play was going down the right.
Yeah.
Against Donessian. And I said to him, you're missing a trick here. What you need to be doing is going down the left, attacking Clements, because he won't be able to hack it. But I'm sorry, Bailey Clements is not good enough for this football club. If Coulson wasn't fit, if Coulson wasn't fit and all that sort of stuff, right? Penny was on form, whatever. He wouldn't be in this side. Yeah, where would he be? He'd be in the conference, out on loan.
I think you're right in the sense of, I think, Penny's for whatever reason, confidence, injuries, whatever reason he's not playing. I'm a bit surprised he's not playing so soon in his Town career that it's only been a couple of months. But Coulson, Penny, I think if Miles Kenlock was a bit younger, he'd be playing. Because I don't think if they had the registration issues, Mike, that Clements, would be picked ahead of Miles Kenlock. I agree with Tux. I don't think he would. Do you?
I don't think shit. I think that's probably a bit harsh, but he wasn't great. It wasn't a great. And for me, how he's got ahead of Penny, I don't know. I know Penny's got, but he's more experienced, isn't he? And for me, he's a better player than Clements. And look, I don't want to bag him too much because he's a young lad. He's come through. He's been given a chance. Is he out of his depth at the moment?
But we go back to the whole academy thing, don't we? Where you said it before about Wolfenden. We put so much hype on these players, and fine, they're when a player comes through your own academy, you get excited and all that sort of stuff, and that's fine. But it also take your rose-tinted glasses off. This guy's not good enough for this club. I'm sorry. Okay. It's you've got players like El Mazzuni, Wolfenden, Clements. I'm just trying to think if there's any others off the top of my head, but these sort of players.
2 games though.
Yeah, true. And it might be a bit harsh to kind of say, whether he's good enough or not. But the games I have seen him play in, Colchester in the cup, Oxford at home, Sunderland away, right? 3 consecutive games. Not seen anything from him that says to me he's going to be a starter for this club. Not at all.
Okay. All right, a few comments. We've got a word from Bailey Clements' adopted grandfather, Matt Stannard. Disagreed, Tux. Clements looked solid when targeting against Oxford. He offered us width on Saturday, but Morsey kept passing it through the middle. He's under 23 and needs game time. I'll take Mike out until he sorts his webcam out. Stephen Parry. Think it's to do with injuries. Really, though, Penny should have been used Saturday. Mike D asked, would anyone throw Burgess in the left back tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do Rotherham and their big players? Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. We'll come to that in a second. Tim Molden, it comes down to trust. Cook just doesn't trust Kenlock. He's not registered, Tim, so he couldn't play even if he wanted him to. He said after the Colchester game that Clements is someone he can trust to come in when needed. So Walton in goal is what we're saying. Donasian, Toto, and then Edmondson. So who's your left back then for tomorrow? Would you do what Mike did just in there and throw Burgess in to deal with the predicted rough and tumble of Rotherham, or would you go back to Matt Penny? How would you play it, Tux?
I think it would be a mistake to play Clements. I think he's going to play him, but I think it would be a mistake to play him. But I think in my opinion, you probably draft in maybe Burgess just to obviously deal with that aerial threat, because they are a big side. So I would be bringing in Burgess potentially, but failing that, I don't see what Penny's really done an awful lot wrong really to sort of be dropped. I don't know whether it was an injury, whether it was confidence, or whether he wasn't playing very well. I don't know, but really, it should be. You've given Clements a chance. I don't think he's good enough. So it's obviously got to be Burgess or Penny, really, in my opinion.
Perfect. Welcome back, Fisherman.
Laptop restart, as if.
I know. Can't get the equipment these days, can you?
No.
Right. Dennis Edwards didn't KVY play back at Colchester? Yes,
yeah, that's another option. Yeah.
Did Matt Tux? Did you watch the Cambridge game? Burgess was awful against the physical striker, but he was good at
he was
Wickham.
Good against, yeah.
To give him his credit. Yeah. Neil Pearce, good to see some young players getting a chance. Into midfield, this is where it gets interesting for me. Let's start with our captain who avoided the ban, Sam Morsey, Fisherman. You spoke about him at the top of the show. What did you make of his performance Saturday?
Average performance, I thought. I didn't think it was anything special. I didn't think it was anything bad. I think I gave him a 6, I think, on the rating. Certainly wasn't the worst player on the pitch, but he's allowed to have a quiet game, basically, because he's on the yellow card, and maybe he was a bit with I don't want to get another yellow card, or I'm going to miss the Rotherham game. I think maybe that was in his head. Maybe now he'll get his yellow card in the Rotherham game and miss the Crewe game. But for me, he had a quiet game. It was. It was just one of those, wasn't it? He weren't the only one, but he's a very good player. I do rate him.
All right, let's bring in somebody who I really shouldn't be putting on the platform tonight, to be fair. He's put his Christmas tree up already. Absolutely disgusting, Mark. It's November, man. It's November the 22nd. Talk me through this Christmas tree shenanigans.
All right, what happens in Ireland, right? It's when you have children, you put the Christmas tree up a couple of nights before a thing called the Late Late Toy Show. It's the biggest watched program on the island of Ireland. So everyone who has children puts their Christmas tree up, and the kids sit and watch it in their pajamas, and I wouldn't say drinks, but they don't drink. Get
them on the Guinness early.
They're hot cocos and all the above. But yeah, so that's where my tree is up.
So if they put that show in April, Mark, you're right royally screwed.
Well, no, I'll give the Christmas tree a go.
You put in the chat, Sam Morsey, disappointing on Saturday. Obviously, you were at the game as well. What did you make of his performance Saturday?
When I was sitting behind the goal, where the goals went in, just underneath our fans. I was in the Sunderland end as well. I was expecting a lot more from Morsey. I thought he'd totally, I thought he'd bossed the show, and he didn't really. That was, I was expecting a bit more from him, in the flesh, seeing it for the first time, and he didn't really run the show for me.
What do you think caused that? What do you think about the reason? Do you think the yellow card was playing on his mind, Tux? Do you think he was trying to, walk the line? Because I thought he had a fairly decent game from watching it back.
Yeah, I think he was quiet. I didn't think he had a poor game by any stretch, but I think he was sort of quite quiet. He wasn't quite dictating play as he usually does. But I said before, I think he is by far and away our most important player. We've seen that, start of the season when he wasn't even at the football club, then serving his 3-match ban, just how integral he is to this midfield. So I'm a little bit worried about this, yellow card hanging over his head that's going to give him that suspension. But in regards to Saturday, I thought a bit of a quiet game, could have done a little bit more, but I think everyone was a bit off it, if I'm honest. We just kept giving the ball away. That's the problem. We kept giving the ball away. And then, for me, it was people like Selena, who for the last 2 or 3 games has been really poor with his passing.
Yeah.
So, when you've got players like that are not making their passes, not making their runs and stuff like that, and
£10 super chat from Matt Stannard. Yes, Gov, shenanigans bonus activated. I didn't want to interrupt you there, Tuck, because I know, being a Peaky Blinder, you might have my knees tomorrow night, but I had to do it. Matt Stannard, thank you very much for the £10. Let's talk about his partner then, I'll start with you, Dead Tuck. So sorry to interrupt you there, my brother. Lee Evans, does he deserve a shirt tomorrow?
So just going back to Morsey carries Lee Evans for me most of the time.
I would agree
for
with
me, Lee Evans has a good pass in him, right? Pings it left, right, and centre. But what else does he offer? He can't offer anything defensively. You look at the stats, one of the worst in the league. Attacking wise, yes, he scored a hat trick against Doncaster, but they're
They were
basement
poor.
side, aren't they? So, I just don't
Who do you
understand what
play
else
with
he
him
really
then?
offers. Sorry?
Who do you play with Morsey then? Because Evans seems to be the favourite. He
Yes,
seems
yeah.
to play really well when he's with Morsey, and I can't see the others playing as well with Morsey because they don't understand each. They play together.
I get
whatever,
that. I do get that, and I
sometimes
think
or something.
that obviously they've been together at Chesterfield and they know each other's game and stuff like that. But sometimes you do have to have a little bit of a freshen up in that midfield for me. And I think if I was to pick one, maybe it could be Scott Fraser. I was really impressed by him against Cole U when he played a little bit deeper. But Tom Carroll played today in the 23s, but I'd like to see him come back because before his injury he looked quite promising. So players like that are there, but it's whether he wants to give Evans a rest, and I don't think he does at the moment.
We need Evans to get sort of stuck in tomorrow night. We need him and Morsey to get stuck in.
Yeah, definitely.
Because these lads are big lads, and I don't expect to beat these at all. I never did from day one. I thought that from the fixture list that these were the ones who'd really show us how to play football.
Would you go with Evans then, Mr. Dowling? Would you go with Evans? Has he done enough? Because for me, he's been poor.
A bit lightweight, I think.
We got Is it a bit of muscle you need in there, Mark?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you think?
I think so,
even with Morsey being the enforcer that he is, and
I think you need bloody everyone who's tall and strong against Rotherham. You've seen them before. They're big, tall, physical team who will 99% of the time they'll push us off every single ball tomorrow. Every single ball they'll win everything.
If Scott Fraser isn't starting tomorrow, I don't know what's up with Paul Cook because he has to be starting, one, from a physical point of view, but two, he just needs to be starting anyway because he's a quality player. I don't understand why he's not starting. And when you shunt him out wide, it's not good enough. He needs to be playing either in that 10 or maybe in the middle.
I agree. Start Edwards tomorrow either because we need someone who actually knows the direction of the goal. He's afraid to shoot. I found him on Saturday when he had the ball.
Yeah. Ben Moore, get Raheem Harper in alongside Morsey. Who would you play then, Tux, alongside Morsey? Would it be Scott Fraser?
Well, I mean, he's got to play. Scott Fraser's got to play. Whether it's in alongside Morsey, I don't know. But if you're going to take Evans out of the side on current form and injuries and everything else, then I would probably put Fraser alongside him. Raheem Harper is a shout, but for me, he's not really shown anything at all at the moment in terms of getting in that first team. So I think it all heavily depends where Fraser's going to start tomorrow. He's got to start, so it's either 10 or the 8 role, basically.
Okay, Mike. Lots of talk here by the two fellas down below, the two Marks, about Rotherham and the physicality. Mike, in that respect, just jumping back very quickly to Bailey Clements. Is this a game you start with Bailey Clements? If you can, because are they going to pinpoint him and try and bully him?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, they bully the hell out of him. I mean, look, Ipswich is too easy to play against. That doesn't help either, does it? I mean, tactically, every manager that a lot of managers come up against Cook's team this year, and they know exactly. Lee Johnson, as you said, schooled him. Well, you know what I mean? At the weekend, tactical change before the game, and then we got Bailey Clements on the left, who was out of his depth.
I wouldn't play Clements. I thought they actually went down his side all the time on Saturday. The first 10-15 minutes, they just tried to bombard his side. They pinpointed him as the weak team, and a team who was as good as Rotherham. I say they're good, won't be making those mistakes.
Yeah,
no way.
Mark, before I let you go, are we going to be winning tomorrow night?
No. No, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'd love it if we did. I just can't see it. Just can't see it. I'd love to say yes, and I just can't see it.
All right.
I just can't see it.
We'll hope to speak to you Wednesday after the game, where I can say, Mark, you came on Tuesday show and you were
fantastic. Yes,
All right.
And
Look after
even,
your...
I'll tell you what they'll do. If we win tomorrow night, I'll put up a second Christmas tree.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Don't be doing that, pal. Not leave it till December, please. Think of the earth. We love you, Mark.
Become a big child again. It's great.
Well, my one's he's only 20 months now, so I've got another year before he's really, walking around B&M trying to put everything Santa related into the trolley. But other stores are
still come.
Absolutely. Look after yourself, Mark. Appreciate you coming on, brother. Mike, you should be a politician, I'm thinking, because I'm talking to you about Bailey Clements and you still find a way to put in your jibes on Cook. Like the same way a politician who wants to come on GMTV and talk about new hospitals or this benefit or feeding this. I could ask you about the sky being blue and somehow you would work it round to have a jibe at Paul Cook. I don't know how you do it, but every time. So we'll try again. Sonny Aluko, how did you see his performance on Saturday? A surprise, well, not a surprise inclusion, but an inclusion from Cook. Would you play him tomorrow night?
I thought he was one of our bright sparks, to be honest, against Sunderland. Personally, I thought he was man of the match.
Yeah, man of the match, Tux. Is that an agreement?
Possibly. There wasn't many contenders at all because everyone was bang at it in terms of average. But
they were.
I couldn't really pick one, to be honest. So I was talking to my mate after the game, and I couldn't really think about one that was a man of the match worthy. I think I picked Ebbinson in the end, and that's just how poor it was.
Despite being a surprising, I'm not going to say, one of our best players, Sonny Aluko, but certainly surprising considering where most people felt about him after Newport. Did you feel we missed Wes Burns when he's not in the side, Tux?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think, this guy has got to start every game that we play in the league. I like Aluko. I think he's got some really good touches and good skill, and he actually puts the ball in the box. But Wes Burns, for me, is that kind of all-round player. He runs the channels well. He gets back, he defends, and he knows when to join the attack, and he even scores some goals. So, for me, he starts, and at the start of the season, I said he was going to be one of our better players this year, and he sort of proved me right. So
let's live in the world of fantasy here. Let's live in the world that we've got all the reports. Wes Burns is 80% fit for tomorrow night. If you are Paul Cook, do you go with an 80% fit Wes Burns, or do you trust Aluko to get the job done for you?
Well, I think personally, if Burns is fit, then as I say, he has to start. There's no reason why he can't then come off for Aluko, because sometimes I feel like Aluko's a little bit better coming on in the second half.
But do you bring Burns? But do you start with Burns? Because obviously, I've still not seen really why he was out Saturday. I'm guessing it was an injury.
Yeah.
If it was an injury, Tuesday is very close to Saturday, particularly when in recovery. So do you start Burns regardless of if it's 100%, 80%, 50%, and then bring Aluko on, or where are you with that?
Well, if he passes a fitness test, then really he should be good enough to start. To be honest, so I would be starting him and then bringing on Aluko if he tires or whatever. Yeah,
because you feel we have to play Wes Burns,
without doubt.
if he's got a pulse and do to and a pair of football boots, basically.
Yeah.
Safety guy 20. Heard Mike is planning on gluing his head to the road until Cook is sacked. Any comment on that rumor there, Mr. Fisherman? No comment.
Stuck for words.
Stop fucking hell. Stephen Parry. Burns or KVY with JD and Aluko. There was no pace. Hamstring, says Mr. Know It. Mr. Source, Mr. ITK says hamstring. Burns won't be fit for tomorrow night. So it's Aluko for your starting then, is it, Tux?
Fair. Yeah. Aluko is, yeah.
All right. Carl Edwards on the left, Mike. Mr. Dowling, when he was in, our man from the Emerald Isles, he said, not for me. Doesn't know how to shoot. Doesn't know where the goal is. What do you think about Carl Edwards? And if he's not going to play tomorrow, who is going to play? Talk us through it.
He's got fast feet, hasn't he? I mean, he's got a bit of flair, hasn't he? But end product is somewhere lost in Panama warehouse, isn't it? I don't like him in that sort of. Yeah, I don't like the where he plays in the formation. I'd play him more out left wing. with the fullbacks supporting him as and when. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. Look, I was a bit surprised he was taken off. So I didn't think he did a lot wrong, but you're gonna love this. Plan A don't work. Plan A in, isn't it?
Well, so who starts left side for you then?
For me,
yeah.
Well, like I said, in the formation, which you'll see, which I put up, you will see.
Right, All right, hang on then. Let me do it.
Yeah.
So you've got Edwards on the left. Oh, so 4-4-2.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 up front. I'm fed up of this one.
It's not going to happen.
I don't care. What is the point of that if we can't debate it on the show? What is the point if we can't debate it on a show or debate it? I don't care what Cook formation is. Right? It's costing us. How many games he won since he's been here? 10. That's how many he's won. 10 games in 40 games he's played, and that's including cup games. That's including last season. 40 games and he's won 10. Yeah, that's a world beater, that, isn't it?
If we take a break, Tux, from going through the team ever so slightly and pick up on what Mike's saying there, is it in 2021? Should it be seen as sort of some sort of miracle to consider a manager putting 2 strikers on at home against Rotherham?
We all know that Cook plays a formation. It's worked for him elsewhere. Okay, it's not really worked amazingly well here. He wants it to work here, so he's then gonna keep on cracking with it. So he's not going to start Pigott. He's not going to start Bond together, I don't think, unless it gets really bad, right? And it's not going really bad at the moment.
Really?
Well, no, it isn't, is it? It's
10 wins in 40.
No.
It's not relegation, though, is it? It's not relegation.
Really? We're 7 points. We're 7 points off 18th and 7 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, but it's not relegation form, is it?
Really? 10 wins is not relegation form, and 10 wins is not promotion form either, is it?
Where we are currently in the league and where we're going to be potentially if we win against Rotherham and other teams as well to come, then we're not. I mean, it was only the other week we was a point off the playoffs, so it's not relegation form, is it?
Don't hide. Come out and fight like a man. I'm joking. Look, I see what you're saying. Look, it's all about opinions, and I get that. Tux, I get that. I totally get it. But the facts remain is that we've only won 10 games under Paul Cook. And I'm fed up of hearing excuses about players. Oh, they've changed this, they've moved. It's not like they've come from France, Spain, or Australia to come here and play. They've come from literally a couple of cities down the road. And, and I'm not having this all upheaval and stuff like that. At the end of the day, they're professional footballers, and Cook's got this. Cook, we all know it. A Wigan fan has nailed it on YouTube the other day, right after the game, regarding Paul Cook. Liam Richardson is the tactician genius, master plan. Yeah. He's got a Wigan side playing well. Paul Cook is out of his depth, and I'm kind of fed up of this happy clapping type thing for Paul Cook. If we want to trust the owners, and which we all do to a point, right? Then by Christmas, by the 1st of January, if we are not in the playoffs, Paul Cook should go. Absolutely. And we should get someone in that can do a better job. Being one-dimensional in football, what is the point of formations? What's the point of having 3-5, 4-4, 4-3-3, 3-4, 3-4-3? What's the point of all them formations? What's the point of a tactics board? Because quite frankly, we all sit here and we can all pretty much predict the team. And if we can do it, other league can do it. And that's what's happening.
We're talking about ifs and buts, aren't we? Right? Well, if I had a pair of tips.
Well, that's what we've been talking about.
Okay, so Paul Cook's out of his depth. I'm going to bring in the GOAT. Colin, before you start, Colin, I'm going to put you on a time counter tonight because I want to get home and off to bed. I've got an early start in the morning. Is Paul Cook out of his depth? Says Mike the Fisherman says he is. What do you think?
Is Paul Cook out of his depth? No, absolutely not.
You've heard Tux, you've heard the Fisherman. What's your take on it?
Paulkut is not out of his depth whatsoever. He's got his ways of working.
Yeah.
And he will continue to do that. Do I wish sometimes he'd be a bit more flexible? Yes. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen right now. That ain't going to happen in the next 3 or 4 games. It probably won't happen until the end of the season. That's my opinion. But as regards him being out of his depth, I'm not having that. I'm not having that, Mike. I'm sorry. I like Mike a lot, but not having that. He's not out of his depth. He's
10 wins in 40. Not out of his depth.
No.
Yeah, but you're counting last season, though, aren't you?
Doesn't matter. He's still our manager. If this was Paul Lambert, every one of us here would be called.
Mike, it's a different squad, mate. It's a different squad. It's a different squad. You can't base last season. You can't base last season.
Thank you.
Right?
Can't you?
You can't, right? So you got to judge.
Why he took a poor side last year and made them worse.
Yeah, but he's got rid of those players, hasn't he? So he's always going to come in, rip the copybook up and say, "Look, I'm going to get a new team in. We've got new owners, etc., right?" So he's got to be judged on that. Did it work out for him at the start of the season? No, very poor. Right? No one expected that, if I'm honest. But I also didn't expect us to be top of the league at the moment, scoring goals for fun and keeping clean sheets. So, really, do I think we should be doing
another Ipswich Town?
Yes, without a doubt. But this is time. We need some time. But also, it's kind of gelling as well. And yes, we are in November. Okay, we're coming up to Christmas, but we've got a big fixture list over the Christmas period, right? If we win most of those games, no one's going to be sitting there saying that's relegation form, are they?
No. So can I ask you?
But name another manager. Sorry to cut in, Mark. Name another Ipswich Town managers had the backing that Paul Cook has.
Okay.
At the start of the season. Go on, name one, because there isn't one.
Paul Lambert.
I'm very keen.
No, Paul Lambert didn't have this backing.
Yeah, he did. No. He was there for 2 years.
No, Bobby Robson never had this backing. Alf Ramsey never had this backing.
Paul Lambert.
No one has.
For 2 years. For 2 years, he got that backing, right?
So anyway,
no, he hasn't. He hasn't had the financial backing. Me and Colin were talking about this the other day. Colin?
About financial backing. I'm
talking about financial backing.
Right. Seconds out. Rounds out. Have a drink of water. Make sure you're wearing no knuckle dusters. Let's get back to it.
Get my pink handbag out. I'm telling you, I'm getting my pink handbag out.
Mike.
I bought a beautiful pink shirt.
Can I cut in for a second, Gov?
Of course you can, Colin. Please do.
Thank you, Gov. Mike, yes, we was talking about this the other day. And Bobby Robson didn't have the financial backing because the financial backing wasn't there, Mike. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, I know that, yeah. But my point is valid, isn't it? And which you agreed with on the phone, Colin.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, Mike, yes, I'm agreeing with you, but he didn't have the financial backing because the financial backing wasn't there, Mike.
No, so look what he did without that financial backing.
Yeah, exactly. But we've done it all through youth, bringing 9, 10, 11, 12 youth team players through and made them international footballers.
Even Burley didn't have the financial backing that Cook had.
And I could name nearly every one of them. You know, when you look at Burley, Beattie, Butcher, Osman, Gates, Brazil.
That's just the
name of it. Burley. They all came through the youth policy and became full international footballers. That is how you do it without finance.
All right, Mike. Russell Brand has a fantastic YouTube channel where you learn all about meditation and mindfulness. You need to go and find it after this show and deep breathe in and breathe out.
No, I'm just stating facts. Everybody talks about opinions, but I'm stating some facts here. But Bobby Robson did it on a shoestring budget. What a manager he turned out to be. Alf Ramsey did it on an
era. It's a different era.
Doesn't matter. George Burley didn't have the financial backing.
It's a different era. It's a different era. I'm sorry.
Right.
You can't
compare.
We got some comments.
We got some
Football's
comments.
101 basic.
We got some comments. Look, Pep Guardiola over there. Fucking sit down with your pink headphones and just take a big deep breath. All right, take it easy. Right, we've got Miss Chris McBain, like a heated discussion down the pub. Fantastic, Chris. If you've not seen this before, this is what it's always like. It's your round, by the way. Mine's a pint and a bag of porter scratches. Matt Stannard, here we are shooting our youth players before we even get going. Clements, he loves a bit of Radio Clements, and he's always been banging that drum. Ben Moore, formation is fine. Do us a favour. We are getting pressed to every inch of our lives at times by a lack of midfield and lack of urgency. If we get a 3-5-2, for example, we can be more flexible in play. As I said yesterday, though, Tux, about this formation situation, you can see what Cook is trying to do with it. He's trying to bring in a philosophy and a culture and a standard, but equally the goalposts have been sort of, promote your top six or bust by the higher echelons of the football club. So you're getting a funny mixture of trying to do a philosophy while also trying to serve the masters of ambition.
Well, I think some of the actual issue here is that we've signed players that we probably actually don't need, and that Paul Cook thought he wasn't going to sign. So he probably maybe didn't think he was going to sign Macaulay Bonne at one stage, hence why he got Pickett, or the other way around. I feel like there's some players are kind of here. I think, Raheem Harper may be one of those sort of players where he thought he was going to get him and maybe not Morsey or something like that. So, I think there's a little hint of that in there somewhere.
I agree.
But, I do firmly believe that you play a formation that suits your players. And he is the one who's brought these players in. He wants to play that formation. So really, it should be working better. I'm not saying it's not working. It should be working better. I agree to that certain extent. But if you're then going to just rip it all up and play 4-4-2, most of these players aren't cut out to be that way. So you're looking at like Selena, Edwards, Fraser, etc., who don't play in a 4-4-2. Okay. So really, they're more set out for a 4-5-1 or whatever way you want to call it, 4-3-3, whatever. So these players aren't set out that way. So what are you going to do? You're going to go in January and then go pick a load of more players? Because that's not healthy. That's not sustainable for this football club, no matter how much money you've got.
No, I agree. 4-4-2 though, Mike. Can't play it, says Tux. What do you think of that?
I'm sorry, but that's completely and utterly rubbish. We've got the players to play that. Every player knows how to play that. Simple. So we've got, look, every player starts out like that. I know that football's changed with the FIFA ruling about playing it out of the back, and I get all that. I understand all that. But the reality is, Paul Cook is unflexible, and this will be his doing. I'm not having that we have won. We've won 10 games.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, he's got no, and I agree. We agree on something, Tux. The reality is he does need a plan B. There's no plan B.
Don't you know, pump
right,
it
but
up.
The other thing, Martin.
Don't you know, pump it up.
Martin, calm down, son. My advice is get yourself some medication. Go on to Russell Brand's YouTube channel, yeah, after the show, yeah, and relax, son. Just calm down.
I'm cool. I'm calm.
Too easy. Sorry, mate.
I do agree with Tux. I don't think the 4-4-2 would be the way to go. I don't think we've got the midfielders for it. A 3-5-2 possibly, but not a 4-4-2. Getting back to the 11, Selena, Colin. Would you play him tomorrow night? Has he done enough after Oxford and Rotherham after Oxford and Sunderland to warrant selection tomorrow, or would you bring somebody else in?
Do I think he might play tomorrow night? Yes. Do I think he should play tomorrow night? No.
Okay.
If I'm quite being frank, I would play the boy Fraser tomorrow night, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Selena hasn't been doing it. Wait a minute, Mike. He's got to realise, Selena, that as good a player as he is, and he is, he can't just come, down. He can't just come down like a league and think, he's going to be a first choice selection every week. Because if that is the case, that is wrong. That is totally wrong. He's got to deserve his place in that side every week. Like I said to you the other week, Martin, pick your best side. But at the moment, in my opinion, over the last 2 or 3 games, especially, Selena is not part of that best side. Not in any way, shape, or form. He's not, because he's missing. He's been signed to score goals. He's been signed to create, probably more so. He's not really doing any of that at the moment, because A, we're not scoring goals. B, he's not scoring goals. So C, that equals like 0, if you like, over the last couple of 3 games.
Selena's not a number 10, though, is he? He's not a number 10 in my eyes. He's always been a
left-sided
player.
I agree,
he's not even a left winger. He's a left-sided player. But, Edwards on the left at the moment, for me, he's got to be coming out, because the only thing he ever does is take on players. I think he set up a goal against Wickham, I think, in fairness to him. But, I don't see many balls going into the box. So we complain that Piggott isn't scoring goals when he gets a chance. But if he's not getting the service into the box, how is he meant to score? That would be my argument.
Does that then
the thing
sorry, Colin. Does that then fall on the? You said earlier about we've got to put players in a position to succeed. Are we not? We're not putting still in the position to succeed. Then are we? Because we're not playing to his full potential. So that's on the manager.
Yes, he should be. He should be looking at that, saying that where do I get the best of my player, Selena? And really, he should be getting the best from him in the left side. Really. I don't think he's a chalk on your boots winger by any stretch of the imagination. He's that kind of player that wants to cut in all the time and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know whether he plays Chaplin in the middle, because I don't know if Selena and Chaplin work that well together, if I'm honest. But I still think Fraser should be that number 10. So
Fraser for me needs to play. Sorry to interrupt, Martin, but Fraser needs to play with Morsey, because I think Fraser is better alongside Morsey. I do, honestly. I think he'd make a.
Yeah,
there's something about Fraser. He can defend, and he's got a forward pass in it, and that's something we're lacking from Evans.
Yeah,
he's got great vision. He spots a pass when players don't, wouldn't even look to think it. He's reading a different book to most players at this level, is what I can see. With his vision of passing.
Definitely.
With Selena though, Fisherman, we'd be talking a different tune if that ball had been that side of the Churchman's post instead of hitting it against
the trouble is, I agree with everything that's been said about Selena tonight. He's not been great. He started us off against Portsmouth, didn't he, with that strike from outside the box, and everybody was praising and singing his hymn sheets. But that was the only thing he did in that game, was just one hit, and that was it. Good, great, lovely, got us off, and that was good. And sometimes that's what you need, but there's nothing else at the moment from Selena. And I know it's all about opinions, but I agree. I would start him. And I'm with Tux as well, where Edwards concerned. There's a lot of huff and puff, but there's no end product. It's tough to see how Edwards gets in this side at the moment. But who else?
Okay, the last position then. We'll start with you, Tux. Macaulay Bond, big question marks. Do you start with him tomorrow night, or is it Joe Piggott time to start? What do you think, Tux?
Well, I think he should be starting until really he just runs out of puff, to be honest with you, because we know that when we give him the ball and when he's on form, he scores goals at this level. So you've just got to keep playing him, and I don't mean playing him up to the 90th minute, 94th minute. I mean, you could probably take him off around the sort of like the 60th minute to actually give Piggott a real chance in the second half. I don't agree with Piggott coming on in the 80th minute or 85th minute. What's he going to do? He might latch onto a goal here and there, but he's not going to do anything. It's not going to do him any world of good in terms of his confidence. So start Bond, keep starting Bond keep starting him, but Piggott, just give him that chance. I mean, give him a chance in terms of bringing him on at a reasonable sort of minute in the 60th minute, something like that. So he has a good 15, 20 minutes to play with and just crack on.
Okay, Stephen Parry, I want to play Piggott, but I've seen him play twice, and I'm worried I'll start Bond and bring him on for 30 minutes, same as yourself. Ipswich Town, Bond can't be dropped with Neil Perks. So Bond will start, no question, but Piggott needs at least 30 minutes. He does need minutes in his legs, doesn't he, Colin?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Would you start Bond or would you start Piggott? What's your wise head saying?
like I said the other night, I wouldn't be surprised if Piggott started, but I think Bond should start. There's a little bit of a debate about that, but I personally think, if I was selecting that side, although I feel really desperately sorry for Joe Piggott, and I totally agree with Tux, there's no way in the world would I bring him on any later than 60, 65 at the very latest. And like I say, I feel desperately sorry for him, but if I was picking the side now, I would pick Bond. Okay. Without a shadow of a doubt. Because if you gave him 2 or 3 glorious chances tomorrow night, he'll probably put at least one of them away, in my opinion. All right, he's dried up a bit lately, and that goes without saying, but he's always got a goal in. And I know we keep saying it. But it is true. Any one of us, and Mike would be the first one to agree with this. If we was all allowed to put a blue shirt on tomorrow night, the number 18 on the back, if you like, okay. Tomorrow night, we would go out there and we would give it 100% every time. And that is exactly what Bond does. You know, the little things he does, like Rich has said in the past, you know, like that game, I can't remember who it was, when he weren't playing, I think he was suspended or whatever it was. He was up in the stand with his 18 shirt on. God almighty, there's not many players would do that this day and age.
Yeah.
He is Town through and through, and that interview that he did over the weekend was quality. That's a bloke who wants to play for Ipswich Town Football Club. And if we have 18, 19 players like that with that attitude, unlike some who just decide to do other things, let's put it that way, rather than concentrate on their football, if we had 18, 19, 20 players like Bond, we certainly wouldn't be in the position we're in right now. There is no doubt about that whatsoever.
Perfect. Oh, we've got somebody else in the chat, Mike, you'll be pleased to hear, that says Bond and Piggott together. Why the fuck not? Says Chris McBain.
Totally agree.
Going along with what you've been saying there. Mike. So
absolutely. I play both.
So your team there is a 4-4-2, as we've seen. Penny at left back, Bond and Piggott up the top. Tux, you're 11. You've gone obviously for the 4-2-3-1. Burns wide right, but we now know Burns won't be playing, or we've been told in the chat by Burns won't be playing. So would you go a Luco, as you've said?
Yeah, going on that information that's come to light tonight, then I would be starting a Luco. But other than that, it's pretty much kind of that team for me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And we've got a fan submission from Lewis Robertson. This is what he would play. Walton, Donatian, Enciala, Edmondson, Penny, Fraser, Evans, Chaplin, Morsey, Aluko, and Piggott. So very similar to yourself there, Tux, but he starts with Piggott and Chaplin. Would that combination do anything for you?
Well, little and large really combination, really, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, I think didn't they start against Cole U? And it didn't look all that promising.
They could well have done, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think, you know, you've got to keep playing Bond for me. It's like what Colin was saying, you know, he's Ipswich through and through. And, you know, this is a player that wants to play for the club at the end of the day and, you know, bleeds blue. So when you've got those type of players in your squad, then you have to play them because they'll just give you that extra yard. But, you know, I don't disagree with, you know, kind of having Piggott and Bond on the pitch at the same time. I just wouldn't start them as a 4-4-2 because we're not set out like that. You know, we haven't been training like that. But
I'll tell you what, sorry to cut across you, Tux. Going back to what you said a little while ago, Gov, I totally agree with that. I'll tell you what, with the players that we've got, we could quite easily go 3-5-2. I've said that before, Rich.
Yeah.
We could quite easily do that. We've got the players for that formation. We really have. If they're all fit, like
I got hammered.
Well, Burgess played in back three at Accrington Stanley, so obviously you'd be playing to his strengths as well. On what you were saying there, Tux, about Bond bleeding blue, same as Colin. It is a business at the end of the day, though, Mike. And as Bod the Nod says here, can't deny Bond's effort, but 1 goal in 7 games is a big part of our problem at the moment. I hope he starts firing again soon.
I'm glad that's come up. Now, We need look. If effort, we give Bon a 10 out of 10 every game because he's always willing to run for the shirt. Unfortunately, because of the lack of service he got the other night, I had to give him a 5. And that's not a reflection on Bon. That was just a reflection on what he offered in the game because he was offered nothing. He had no service. There was no supply line to him. You know? For me, if we had Pickett on there and we are playing, we do end up, I agree with Tux. Cook's got a formation, he's got a style, and he wants to play one up front. But where is the plan B? When we're losing or we need to win the game, why not stick 2 strikers on? It does not make tactical sense. Doesn't make no sense whatsoever.
Mike, that is what we were talking about the other day about flexibility.
Yeah. And that's where Cook is not very flexible.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think even Cookie's biggest supporters, and obviously Tux is on the show as somebody who's Mr. Positive and keep the faith and give it time. I think even he's quite reasonably saying flexibility is a Cook issue. As we bring the show to a close ahead of tomorrow night, I just want to ask you one more question, and then you can tie in your score prediction with the answer to that question. I'll start with you there, Tux. Tomorrow, is it a must win? Is it a mustn't lose? Is it a season pivotal moment? And what's your score prediction?
I think every game is a must-win because every game in this league is a hard game. I don't care who it is, whether it's top of the league or bottom of the league. You've always got that different agenda. But is it a game-defining? Is it a season-defining game? No, not by any stretch. If we lose, do we sack Cook? No. These are all kind of questions that we're. They'll get answered with just like raw emotion. Yeah, it's not real kind of like mental kind of in there thinking it logically. It will be, get rid of him. But then, who are you going to bring in? These are all questions for another time. But I mean, tomorrow, I wouldn't say I'm wholly confident about it because I just come back from Sunderland and watched that performance and I thought we were very poor. So he's got to say to those players ahead of tomorrow or even today that, you need to go out and play if you want to play against these so-called bigger sides, if you want to get out of this league. So I think score prediction, with my positive hat on, 2-1 maybe to Ipswich. But it's going to be difficult. He's got to put the right team out. Obviously. He's got to put a team out that matches them physically. And we don't have to have all of the skillful players such as an Edwards on the field. We just need someone that's going to match them up because they'll be coming here to win. They're not going to sit on their laurels. They want to come here and win.
Yeah, I was on a Rotherham show last night. They're pretty confident. They are pretty confident. Colin, a defeat would see us fall to 13 points behind Rotherham, who could be in second or wherever they're going to be come the end of the game. Is it a must-win, mustn't-lose, season-defining moment? Because obviously 13 points, that's a mountain, isn't it? Suddenly falling behind, and obviously the playoffs as well. I mean, you could be well, 8, 9, 10 points outside of those as well. Same questions to you, Colin. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Martin, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've said all the last couple of days, or the last 3 or 4 days, this is a must-win for me. I believe it is a must-win tomorrow, especially who we're playing, like you've quite already said about the points difference, whatever. I think it's a must-win. I think it's a must-win again on Sunday. I think they're 2 games that possibly we might settle, well, not settle, but we will kind of settle for 4 points. 1 tomorrow maybe and 3 against on Sunday. But I just think we need 6 points from these 2 games. I really do. And
I agree.
And to underline all that, and I've said this a million times, I'm not being disrespectful to Rotherham Football Club one little iota, right? But they are Rotherham Football Club. Are they good at getting out of this league? Are they good at getting relegated from the Championship? Yes. They're the Norwich City of the First Division and the Championship. We all know that. but they are Rotherham United Football Club. We go out. I don't know how many tickets we sold. I'd presume 20,000 maybe for tomorrow night. Maybe. I don't know. But let's say 19, 20,000. We're going in front of 19, 20,000 tomorrow night. Probably about 300 or 400, if you're lucky, Rotherham fans, on a Tuesday night under the lights. What have we got to fear? Come on. We have got the squad or the team to go out there and beat Rotherham United. You can't keep going in that Ipswich dressing room, boys, and keep looking at each other thinking to themselves, oh, you know, we might scrape this today. No, you're Ipswich Town. You should be proud. You've got that badge on. You know, put that tracky top on, get out there and go for it. And I'll tell you what, yes, they are a physical side, Rotherham. But I'll tell you what dear old Bobby would say, right? If they're a physical side, get it down, play round them. Keep the ball, play round them. Play your football. Play your football, win the game. And I'll tell you what, that is exactly what Bobby would say. And if they do that tomorrow night, get it into Chaplin's feet, get it into Bond's feet against big, tall, aggressive defenders, they will come out with them 3 points. Trust me.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Colin, as always, appreciate you coming on, my friend. Look after yourself. And
cheers, Tux. Cheers, Mike.
We'll see you
Cheers,
tomorrow.
buddy.
The Sunderland play Shrewsbury tomorrow night. You would expect them to win. So does that add a bit more pressure to the situation as well, then, Mike?
Do you know what? I'm not bothered about what other teams do. I'm just more worried about what we do. Colin's right. We have the players, but do we have the?
Well, we've done that. Well, we've done that one to death. I think a little bit for some.
No, but you asked my opinion. I'm giving you.
Yeah,
I'm giving you it. I'm giving you it. You asked for it. I'm giving it to you. Do we have the know-how to? Do we have the people in power to be able to get a result out of this game? Probably not. I can't see us winning. I've got us down for 3-1. 3-1 against Rotherham. They got the meanest defence in the league, next to Wigan. They've only conceded 13 goals. They've scored 32, which is only 2 less than we have. They got what's his name up front? Michael Smith up front. Scored 12 goals this season. You know, I just can't see us. I genuinely can't see us winning that game. And that'll mean, okay, so if Sunderland beat, so if you want to look at it like that, if Sunderland beat Shrewsbury, that's going to take them to 34. That means we're going to be 10 points behind the playoffs. And then it means we've got another must-win against Crewe. Look, I predict we'll win against Crewe. They're bottom of the league. Not exactly a great side, but not playing well, not winning games. Yeah, we'll probably get 3 points against them. But what if we don't? When is the cut-off point where we say as fans, enough is enough, and change the manager? No, because in the very beginning, when this season, I know, but at the beginning of this season, the first 5 games would get 12 points. How did that go? 10 games, we'll see where we are. No, this has all been said on this show. 18 games and we're still 10th.
Fucking, who put a fire underneath his backside?
I don't sit there and hide hide anything. At the end of the day is I say it as it is, and I bring facts to the table, and they are facts.
They are.
We've all said it.
But as Tux just said, he would assess the situation after the Christmas period. Either way, the only saving grace I can pull from tomorrow night is the fact that Wednesday play MK Don. So, you know, if that's a draw, you're 8 points away from the playoffs. If one of them wins, it's taking points off the other. But as Chris Wright says here, Tux, we've moved into the phase where we can't afford to lose any match. That's the reality because of that poor start that the Fisherman's just sort of highlighted.
Yeah. Well, as I said before, I think every game is a must-win game. It doesn't matter whether you're top or bottom. These are all hard games. I've not said that any of these games are easy because they're not.
No.
But we have to. We can't just cut it off after these kind of 2 games, really. Like, yes, they are big games. Don't get me wrong. I wanted 6 points against Sunderland and Rotherham, If we don't get them, I'll be very disappointed. I'll be looking at Cook maybe a little bit deeper now and be saying, well, what can you actually do for this club? But I'm still going to judge him. And I said this at the start of the season. I said, I'll be judging this football club, Paul Cook's Ipswich Town, around this sort of time in terms of the Christmas period, because that's a fair amount of time. I don't, whether you've brought in one player or 11 players.
Are we agreed then? The cut-off point is Christmas period. Are we saying that
around the
Christmas cut-off
period,
point?
Yeah. Yes,
so if we are where we are now,
I'll be backing Paul Cook until that time though. If he loses every game up until the Christmas period, off you go, mate. See you later. But at the same time, I will still be backing him until that point, because that is a fair shout. I don't think Mark Ashton or any of those guys from America can sit there and say or justify what Paul Cook's position is if he loses majority of the games from now until that point. But if he wins a lot of them, this is not going to be a conversation, is it? Because he's just going to be
absolutely not. And I'll be the first to stand here and say, do you know what? My opinion of Cook was wrong.
Yeah.
I know it's not about. I know opinions are not right or wrong, but my opinion of I'll sit here and say, look, if I've got this wrong about Paul Cook, and he proves to every Town fan that are doubting him that actually, do you know what? I am the manager to take this club forward. I'll sit on this show and say, look, I got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? And
I think for me, the reality is, right, he's brought in a completely new squad. Yeah. So he's got a completely new squad to deal with. He's got to find out which best players fit into this team. Right. That's not an overnight success. It's not over a couple of months success. No. You have to find that winning formula. But what I do sit there and think is that he could have a plan B. He could have a Piggott that comes on after the 60th or 65th minute, not in the bloody 89th minute, right? These are fundamental decisions that will impact his future.
Yeah, we said it. We said it. Sorry, Martin. We said it, didn't we? A little bit when we had a chat. No, we did. We said the biggest issue with Paul Cook is, look, at Sunderland we went 1-0 down. If we'd have brought Piggott on and played two up front, just say, and looked like that he was looking to change it to try and get a result. If we'd have got a draw out of that game, you'd have gone, do you know what? At least there was a changes there to try and get something from the game after being 1-0 down. But that is the problem. There's been many games this season where that hasn't happened, where plan A hasn't worked. Okay, so we'll just try plan A with different players. And it's not worked. It cost us games, which is disappointing.
I do like your Christmas period assessment, Tux, because obviously you've got Rotherham tomorrow night, then you've got Crewe, then you've got a little break for the cup action, then you pick it up, and this is when you pick it up into the Christmas period that you're talking about, and it's quite pivotal because it can go either way, and if it goes one way, it'll be really successful because you're taking points off teams around you, and if it goes wrong, well then you've assessed yourself against the best at the time this division has. You've got Charlton, then Wigan. And then you go into the following week with Sunderland at home, the start of pack-out PR. Then you've got Gillingham on Boxing Day, who that should be, at this point in time, a banker because they're not playing well at all. Then you've got Wickham at home, Lincoln at home, and it's the new year. That's a key period. And I agree with you, Tux.
This is the other thing. You mentioned the pack-out PR thing, right? So if there's going to be, 25,000+ fans for 3 games in the Christmas period, and imagine if we lose all of those, right? The atmosphere is going to be so toxic. Right?
It really is.
So Ashton and everyone else at that board level can't sit there and justify that, can they? I mean, they've done their damnedest to make this work, yeah? No one's ever disputed that, but they can't control what goes on the pitch. No. So then there comes a decision, a very tough decision, but then it comes a decision, if you don't win those 3 games, or even any of those games before that, then change got to be made, isn't it?
Totally agree with you. Anyway, we will pick this debate up again, I'm sure, on Wednesday's show, 8:30. But first of all, we've got a matter of a game against Rotherham tomorrow night, Portman Road, under the lights. We'll be there with the cameras for the pre-game show at the Sir Ralph Ramsey statue. Join us from 6:50 live if you can't make the game, or if you can, come along and give us a watch and get involved. And then the moment the full-time whistle goes, I'll come down the steps of the cobble stand, go to my car, grab my gear, and we'll set ourselves up for the Fans React full-time show. So likewise, if you are there, pop by the Sir Ralph Ramsey statue, have your say. Takes 5 minutes, and then you can walk off into the night having aired what you've got on your chest. Joining me tomorrow night will hopefully be many people at the game. And on Wednesday, we have got Rich, the Cruncher, and TJ joining me for the extra Rotherham fallout and look ahead to Sunday's game against Crewe. But for tonight, as Lee Bayliss says, great debate, just fun, fiery, passionate debate the way it should be. He has been a firecracker, the Fisherman. He has been Peaky Mark Tuxford. Until tomorrow at 6:50, with love, with care. Come on.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're not.